When this little thing came out, I was kind of like, okay, that's an interesting little piece of gear. Kind of regarded it as maybe like a little bit of a toy, maybe a little bit of a gimmick, and wasn't taking it hugely seriously, I have to be honest with you. One thing I did say was that, well, I basically did a video saying I begged Line 6 to make an editor for this thing. This video is sponsored by Line 6, which is nice, and basically they said, you know, well, I emailed them saying I'd love to do some work on some of this stuff, and they said, actually, we've got an editor coming up for this thing. Now, I didn't know until I tried it yesterday what was going to be included in the editor, and I was sort of nervous about, right, where is this going? Luckily, basically, it covers everything that I think I wanted them to basically sort for this. Now, what remains the only blind spot for me with the Pod Express is that it doesn't load IRs, so that's maybe worth knowing and not necessarily something that's going to be super obvious unless you kind of dig into the manuals a little bit, so I'll give you that up front.
This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses.
Right, stereo out, guitar in, and you can plug in a foot switch or a volume pedal or both. So foot switch 3 or 4 volume, and then on the side you've got a headphone out. Now the editor, I'm going to jump into it, and this was my first time going through the editor. It solves a load of the problems with the Pod Express, basically, and those were that we basically know what the amps on here are, we know what the models are based on. For instance, you know, a Tube Screamer is not a one knob pedal, so when you just adjust, you know, a knob here, and you can just turn up the amount of drive, presumably, or the distortion, likewise with the chorus and the delay and stuff, we know that these effects essentially have more parameters, and one knob doesn't necessarily get you a whole load of tweakability, particularly if you know the models. Likewise, that goes for each of the amp models. We know we've got a Princeton, we've got the Litigator, we've got a Matchless DC30, we've got the Cartographer, we've got a Friedman B100, we've got a PV Invective, and I think we've got a PV5150. There's more than just gain, mid, bass and treble on those amps, and so that is basically what the editor is giving us access to. Crucially, and this is the huge one for me, you can get into the cab block and change a high cut or a low cut, which is really, for me, totally crucial if you're ever going to be using one of the... Checking out Pod Express Edit, I've got it plugged in. You're going to install a driver. Let's do a firmware update first, I guess. Okay, update successful. Syncing to device. Here we go. So now we can manage our presets. So let's jump into a new preset and select an amp. Let's go with Special, because I know I love this amp. Selected. Drive round here. Mid, treble. Do we have that annoying hum control? Let's get rid of that. So you now kind of got visual of what the amps are. So in case you don't remember what they were, we got the Clean, which is the US Princess, so that's a Princeton special, which is like Dumble from the mind of Ben Adrian, essentially, like a modded Fender style amp, but not based on anything really specific. Chime is a Matchless DC30. Dynamic is another thing from Ben's real world, where he built an amp called the Cartographer from a modified trainer. The Crunch is Friedman, and then BE100. The Heavy is PV Invective, and then lead here is the 5150 by the look of things. Right, so special distortion types, as you can see. Yes, now we've got access to all of the knobs of our drive pedal, so that's crucially important here. So it looks to me they've basically solved all of the problems that existed here. Crucially, this is the most important thing for me. In our cab section, we've got what I think are the most vital tone shaping elements of the Helix, and we've now got them here. So for instance, I would normally be using something like the Kali V30 for almost everything. I don't know if we can choose what mic we're miking up with. However, this is the sort of thing that I would do. Got scale here as well, so yeah, just all of the stuff that you really need, and I guess that's important really. So feedback I'd normally have quite high, and mix I'd have quite low. Then reverb I would normally use the Glitz, but we've got plate here. So if we just save this as then like JC Clean, then so let's just save. If we can we save as or copy, paste. Okay, so then we overwrite that, then drive even, and so for this I'd be going. Also could 100% be part of like a rig with a pedal board. And makes it actually super useful to me as a backup. You know, I no longer necessarily need to take like an HX Stomp and a spare HX Stomp. If my HX Stomp was to, for whatever reason, go down, the Pod Express could be a really decent backup that could be incorporated into my pedal board with not really much issue at all. You know, I don't really need to go into too much else of what is available here, but we've got like a tape. probably wouldn't be using that particular drive. Take that mix down. And what would I call that? Probably DC Max. I have to be honest, I thought, yeah, like a little bit of a toy, but now actually this is a really practical backup, or something, you know, that you could chuck onto a board to take care of the amp and cab side of things and maybe a couple of the extra effects. But this integrates into a pedal board potentially better than an HX Stomp would if you were using it for amp modeling, potentially better than, you know, a full Helix, potentially better than an HX Stomp XL. If I had 3 drive pedals, a mod pedal and a delay pedal, chuck this in the middle of them, job's a good one, right? So that's really good. There's one other thing to be aware of, and that is that say you had your delay assigned to the on switch or the tap switch or whatever, it basically will mean that if you change presets on the unit, whatever that pedal assignment is going to be the thing that overrides. So say you had one preset where the delay was on and one preset where it was off, the actual delay assignment, once it's on that pedal, will go to whatever that pedal is on. So if that pedal is off, when you switch to a preset that did have a delay on it before, that will then be off, etc. So that's worth bearing in mind. That's kind of the way that works. So that caught me out a few times, because it's like, right, on my lead tone I want there to be a delay, but if that delay is off here, you kick to your lead preset, the delay will be off. And likewise, if you turn your delay on your lead preset and then jump back to your rhythm, the delay will be on the rhythm when you switch over there. So you are going to need to switch that each time you change a preset to whatever you want, so it doesn't switch per preset if there is that assignment there. But yes, excellent work from Line 6, the editor works nicely, and also it's now possible for me to share tones, so if that's something you're interested in, leave some comments below, write your favourite Nicolas Cage film. I really liked Long Legs. Catch you in another video soon. Cheers to Line 6 for sponsoring this one. Long may it continue.